So, a while ago, I was pretty angry about something. I'll let you fill in the blanks as to what I was angry about. We're not going to go into that. But as you can see, my anger was enough that I confused the heck out of the game, which is fun. So I thought what I'd do is I'd log on and I'd just do like a scribble on here. And kind of like back in the day how I would go into Microsoft Paint and I'd just do like a scribble with the pencil tool. And then I'd come back in with like the fill tool and just fill in the colors, and I always thought it looked really cool. So that's kind of the concept here. Once I got over the anger part of it, that's when I was like, I can do the thing that I used to do in Paint. So this is the shape that we ended up with, and we're going to go through and we're going to fill in all the solid spots with rooms and make it into a functional house. We've sped up because this is about 4.5 to 5 hours of build time, and as you can probably see already from the length of this video, I've gotten it down to about, I think it was about half an hour, maybe a little under, maybe a little above, I forget. Oh yeah, 29 minutes, there we go. It is on my screen. It's really weird doing this without having to click things. I don't know what to do with my hands. So one of the rules that I decided on the fly to give myself is that I wasn't going to move any of these walls. So as you can see already, I'm relying very heavily on archways and spandrels. I figured I don't hate myself that much that I'm going to do a no spandrel rule, so there's going to be a few spandrels in a few different places just to sort of make some of the shapes work. Like we needed a way to get from the lounge room to what's going to become the dining room up there. So, and yeah, I really liked this for the bath in here. The concept in my head kind of was a little bit better than what actually came into being through this. I thought if there was a spandrel above and then you had the nice corner spa bath, it would look really nice, but none of the spandrels quite had that sort of thing that I was looking for. So that was the thought process behind it anyway. It didn't fully work out, but it gave us extra space in that bathroom and meant that we weren't losing out, excuse me, on like that little, I think it's only like half a square. So it's not really that much space, but in terms of the bathroom, it makes quite a big difference. I also realized after I designed this entire bathroom that I could have put this door around where the toilet is, and that probably would have made more sense, especially in the entryway, because it wouldn't be like doors, but oh well. I didn't realize that until I think I designed the entire bathroom. I went away and did most of the rest of the house and then came back and then went, oh, and I did try to move it, but that was also during the footage that I lost. I did like an hour and a half of build and then I looked over at OBS and it was like, oh, start recording. I'm like, oh no. So there's a bit that I had to come back and redo again, but I did come back and redo it. So you're not actually missing out on any actual builds that go into the final thing, with the exception of I did forget to do ceilings. So on Monday, I'm going to do a proper like build tour of this where we'll walk through in first person view and you'll see that, and you will notice that there are ceiling paints selected. That is not in this video, but that is the only thing, as far as I remember, that doesn't make it into the video. But then you don't miss much. It's not that exciting. It's just me going, yes, this color and this color and this color. Oh, and actually, no, I had to change the color in the main bedroom to match the roof a bit better because the one that I had didn't match the roof. And yeah, I realize I'm talking very fast right now because I'm not having to think and I'm just like, we finally got to the point where I was like, this house needs windows. So here we go, windows galore. And then this is why you should always, like, if you're putting windows down, you should always be on the floor that you're actually putting them on, because I forgot that I'd put those wardrobes there, and I was like, yes, this is a perfect spot for a door. And then the wardrobes are like, So this is the main bedroom that I'm doing now. You'll notice that around the place I've got sort of like a random fridge, a random bed and stuff. I do that at the beginning of a lot of builds when I'm planning out the layout, just so I remember later. But then, of course, I do forget, and then you'll see me come back and I'll try and work with the fridge that I've already plunked down there, or the bed that I've already plunked down. Even though they're just a random one to just denote what that room is, I forget one way or the other. I figure remembering that it's a bedroom is a bit more important, but I do end up changing everything anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you'll just, if you notice, you'll notice that I try to work with what I already put down for a little bit longer than I probably should have. For the main bedroom, I wanted something kind of dark and sultry and a little bit romantic, a little bit kind of opulent, and I think we got there. The bathroom, the ensuite's really fun though. I missed that already, but I did his and hers showers, his and hers sinks, but I also did his and hers toilets because there was 2 of everything else. And so it really didn't make sense to just have 1 toilet. So they're either his and hers toilets or one's a toilet and one's a bidet if you want to go not be weird. But his and hers toilets was just something that made me laugh to no end. And I can't believe I was talking about beds when that bit came up. And I missed the chance to explain it as it happened because you're probably like, what the heck is that? So here again, I'm taking advantage of a spandrel. I'm trying to put up a curtain so that you can like, you don't have to have the bright light coming in from that open window door thing. So yeah, but it just sort of makes that look a little more planned and like it's part of the same room. There's a lot of very weird, pokey, pointy angles going on in this build, and that's because it represents anger. I think it works. It ends up being overall like a modern sort of style with like very eclectic sort of taste, especially I think we're about to jump out into like the back patio area and you will see what I mean there. I don't, excuse me. I don't know if you can really say that that qualifies as like a very modern build, but I really, really liked how it turned out. So you'll notice as well as I build, I will come across something in the catalog and I will like go, ooh, and I'll dart over to another room and plonk it down and then come back to what I was doing. And that's because there's so many items in The Sims at the moment that it is a pain in the butt to find things. You will also, excuse me, you will also find points where I will spend ages looking through the catalog because I know what I want to go there, but I cannot remember where it is because the tags are a mess. Like, there is, in the kitchen in particular, that's one of the really bad points. I'm trying to find, like, the kitchen cart thing that has, like, the cutting table on top because the kitchen's a weird shape and I needed more bench space, but I couldn't put more bench space in. So I think in real life, it took me, like, 20 minutes to find this thing because it wasn't tagged with the kitchen stuff. And then I looked through the packs that I thought it was going to be in, and it wasn't in the packs. Well, it was, but it didn't come up when I looked through those packs. It was a whole thing, but doing the entryway now is just this nice long pathway. And then I was like, oh, we should probably like bookend this a little bit nicely. So I thought, well, we'll make one into the mailbox. And I was going to use a debug one, and then I realized, no, there's an actual mailbox that I can use, which is really, really cool. And we're coming up to the end of my first building session here. I find the number, I put it on, and there we go. There's the transition. This is day 2 of building this now. And so I just continue on with what I was doing. For like continuity's sake, I don't actually do it if you pay attention while I'm building. I am all over the joint, but I'm really happy with how this front bit looked. I think it looked really pretty with all like the little flowers and the lights, and yeah, just pretty. Here we go. It is pool time. So I grabbed out these rocks and this like ancient ruins stuff previously, and I was just like, oh, they'd be cool out the back. And so when I came back to it, I was like, oh yes, I got to use these, and it ends up being really, really, really lovely. I'm not, as I said, it's an eclectic build, so technically it works, but like it is a little too stylized, I think, technically for this particular type of build, but I was having fun with it, and I really, really, really liked how it ended up looking, because it's this a whole like little oasis thing, kind of private, and lots of waterfalls and nature and ruins. It just, yeah, I really, really liked it. So I'm trying to figure out a fence here. Fences were hard. I really liked this black fence off to the left there, like underneath me right now. But I couldn't find one to match it because I didn't want that to go the whole way across because I felt that kind of isolated the yard a little too much. And like, you want privacy for the pool, but I didn't want it to be like, I don't know, commune cult kind of like. Not this time. I am really proud of what I'm about to do here with these stairs, because this is kind of what cinched that, you know, this is going to be an entire pool that's kind of ruined themed, because like there's stairs. I have tried so many different things to get stairs and pools and stuff, and just in my own time. I don't think I've done any of them on this channel yet. But I was really proud of this one. It looks so good, especially with like all the like ruined stuff around it and the theming going on there. It looked really cool. And I come back and I like kind of theme out the actual pool itself. Like I put like the ruined walls and the ruined floor on the bottom of it and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, just adding some greenery to the rocks and the fountains here because, it definitely needed. It very much made it look more intentional than just a pile of rocks. And it's just pretty. Like, plants are pretty. I really like them. And so that's just what I'm doing here. It took forever because I play on console. I don't know if you know this. It's not exactly a secret. I do talk about it quite a bit, but so I don't have like the tool mod and I don't have custom content and all that sort of stuff. So I had to raise all of this up by hand myself to get it to fit and then move it around. And yeah, so it was fun. And this tea tree one, looks so good. So stoked that I found that. Which meant, yeah, I had to change the one that I'd put on the end there because it didn't make sense to have it be there as a tree, but also as a bush on the rocks. And yeah, so here we go, just theming out the rest of it, adding some more greenery. I think these are the proud pansies. They just sort of, again, tied it together. Excuse me. And just trying out lots of different plants here just to see what I could fit, but nothing else really worked. So we got a bonus fern because everybody needs a little bonus fern. So yeah, there we go. I just put down the ruined flooring and stuff. And then I decided I didn't like how this bit sat with that. And so it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to fix that. In the end, I accidentally fixed it. This is, it's not what I intended to do when I went to fix it, but it ended up working really well. So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna knock it. It works. And yeah, and I added some details down the bottom here. Hopefully I remember to fill out that floor because that floor is not finished. Yeah, I did. Cool. Go fun. These fountains, I was really attached to the idea of having these fountains be on the back there. They're not actually part of the pool, but I thought that they'd look really nice. So you'll see I come back to them a few times and try to fiddle with them and move them around and change the decorations around them a little bit. And in the end, I think I'm very happy with how it ended up. This was fine, but it didn't quite go with like the ruined pool kind of theme. So yeah, once I come back and I fix that, it works out a lot better. Here, I'm trying to make sense of this random little nubbin of a wall that's sticking out. I just sort of ended up going with more of the ivy trellis thing from, I want to say Get Together, but I cannot remember, to tell you the truth. And then we need a barbecue, because if you've got a pool this heckin' cool, that rhymed, you gotta have, you want to be spending your time out here and stuff. And here I was like, oh, I could make this into like a little ottoman seat thing, so you can have like a little, like, I don't know, kissy corner or something, like a little bit private, but like mostly this exists to kind of block off the main bedroom's window from everybody nosying in when it's pool time. But then I was like, I can turn it into like a little snogging corner. And yeah, and then I realized there's actually a bench seat that already exists that looks like the wall. And I was like, perfect. They thought of me exactly when they built this. And yeah, so just sort of fiddling around with that and making it fit. And there we go. And then it's time for an outdoor table. Outdoor table was a little bit hard to situate. I did like this orientation, but it meant that I wasn't going to be able to get the like banana lounges in. Aren't they called everywhere? Or is that just the Australian word for them? But you know, like the sun lounges that like you suntan on. But I really wanted to get those out as well because it looks so relaxing out here. It kind of needed these things, banana lounges. So the table goes over there. It does move again because I end up having to flip one of those sliding doors around to fit the dining table in, but it ends up basically being the same. And I think it's really lovely out here. And yeah, here we go. This is where I change those columns for good. I think they look a lot nicer with the columns instead of the pillars that I did have. Did I really leave that pillar there? Weird choice, Fern. Again, we're jumping forward to another session of building. We're doing the kitchen finally. As you can see, I'm like, yes, this is the fridge. I must have put this here for a reason. And then eventually I realized, no, that fridge does not work. I was excited by, not excited by, I knew I wanted to use this particular kitchen benchtop thing because it has that like diagonal corner thing, and because there's the really sharp corner over, well, behind me right now, I knew I wanted the triangular thing, and I couldn't remember which one it was at first. And then I was like, when it was this one, I was like, yes, this works perfectly. And it has the colors that go with like the house. Here I'm just trying to figure out a backsplash, which is always a tongue tire, but yeah, just went with the black, which I think makes the kitchen look very nice and sleek. And I was like, here we go, remembering to change the fridge out. And it's a very odd shape for a kitchen. It's not like my ideal shape for a kitchen. I would have liked to have been able to get like at least like an island bench out in here, but it wasn't going to work with the shapes that I had. If I'd allowed myself to move a wall, it probably would have been fine, but it is what it is. And I think considering the constraints that I'd arbitrarily given myself, I think it worked out really lovely and really nice. I'm obsessed with these jars on the shelves like that. They added much needed pop of color. I love it. It was very hard building with just black in here. And I'm like, oh, can I add a bit of color here? Can I add a bit of color here? And yeah, I forgot to mention my dress, because this is like an emotion themed build. I'm wearing my All the Feels dress. So it has like happy and sad and angry, and yeah, I was very proud of that. I was like, ooh, is it clean? And I thought it wasn't, because it wasn't in my wardrobe, but it was hanging up on my drying rack, and I was like, yes! Here's the dining room. So as you can see, I don't know, have I moved that around already? Yeah, I have. Had to flip the door just to make that fit. And then I was like, oh, we have a barbecue. What about second barbecue? So we had a bar out there just for entertaining, you know? There's only 4 seats out there, but when do Sims all sit down to eat together anyway? And fun fact, at the end, I move in Tony and Fern, and Tony goes straight for the barbecue. I kid you not. She was literally in the house for all of like probably a minute actual Sims time, and she was already out there baking freaking hot dogs or hamburgers or something. But she did not set the house on fire, which is really nice. So this is the bit that I was talking about. This is where I'm trying to find the like butcher's block trolley cart thing, because I want to put it where I put that thing basically, but a little bit in front of the window, and I couldn't find it. And you'll see, look, I'm jumping around because I'm finding other stuff that's really cool, but I couldn't find the thing. I tried searching for cart, I tried searching for trolley, I tried searching for kitchen, I can't even remember what it ended up being called. But eventually I do find it. Look at how much extra stuff I'm finding for this house in the process of trying to find this thing. Like I'm going everywhere, man. I am in the main bedroom currently, and yeah, still nothing. There it is. I found it finally. So it comes with the kitchen clutter pack by the look of it, but I did search that at the beginning because I thought it came with a kitchen pack of some description, because that just makes sense, but it didn't come up when I searched for that. So I don't know if that's a tags issue or a Fern issue, but I'm going to say it was a tags issue because then I don't feel so bad. Here I thought, oh, we need like somewhere to put all like the junk. And I know I technically removed a wall there, but I put them straight back. It was only so I could put the mirror in the front of that cupboard, just because the front here needed a mirror, but I didn't have space to put a mirror. I mean, I could have put one on that green wall, but there's something else going there in a minute, as you'll see. In a minute, it might be in several minutes, but and then I was like, I need a nicer door here. So I tried to match one to the trim. I think that's as close as it gets. And then I had an entire existential crisis about like a welcome mat and stuff. And then went, you know what? That's Future Fern's problem. We're going to go on to the teenager/guest bedroom. I'm actually obsessed with this bedroom as well. I love how it turned out. It looks so lovely. And I want it as my bedroom. My bedroom is much more boring than this. Speaking of boring bedrooms, I was so offended. I was messing around with ChatGPT, and you know how you can get it generate images and stuff, and I was like, oh, here, generate my bedroom, and it generated just a bed, a white bed in a white room, and I was like, gee, thanks, you know me well. AI, everybody. But here I was like trying to make the bedsides work as well, but they kind of don't. So what I end up doing is I end up putting this little like cabinet thing across the whole way with just like a gap for the bed. And I think it ends up looking really lovely because it kind of blends in with the wall. So it looks kind of built in. Oh no, I couldn't have, because there wouldn't have been enough room. If I was to do it again, I probably would include it behind the bed as well, and maybe have like a different bed head, so that it's like a whole built-in shelf kind of thing. But there we are, jumping around all over the place again. If I could stay focused, I think this would be a little more Like, because I could probably almost put the camera just in one spot for each room and then move it to another spot, but oh well. If you want it organized, you're in the wrong channel. That's the new pillow from one of the stupid events. It might be the Forever Friends event. I don't know. I hate the texture of it. I just know when I touch that, that's going to be all like... So, but teenager gets it, because I don't know. At this point, I realized I had absolutely no bookshelves in this entire place. I think we end up with no bookshelves in the entire place, but there's a stack of books. There's books on these, and there's books under the ottoman, thing that I just put down. So technically there's books. There's just not like an official bookshelf, which is a little problematic. I think they can access books from those though. I hope they can. But yeah, because I'm pretty sure I don't come back and actually put in a proper bookshelf, so... There's a lot of things that this house does not have. It doesn't have like a dedicated study. It doesn't have a garage. It doesn't have, what else did it have? It doesn't have a laundry, although I always forget to build laundry. I don't play The Sims to do more laundry. I play The Sims to avoid my laundry. So, but yeah. I think we just had another cut forward to, I think it's the same day, but I think it's just later in the day because I had to go off and have lunch and, you know, life. But here we're doing the little private courtyard for the main bedroom, and it's again very quirky, a very, very, very different style. This almost also ended up being like a different style for every room kind of challenge, unintentionally. It wasn't the challenge, but it's very eclectic, and like each person got to choose what they wanted for each room, I guess. So like the teenager was very involved in picking what they wanted for their room, and you know, the person who owns the house knew what they wanted for their bedroom, and then they knew that they really wanted that sort of ruins sort of theme. I don't know, ruins sort of themed pool is not even that great a word, but they knew what they wanted and they went for it, and they had the money, the budget. They're clearly not millennials. They could afford to not only build a house, but to build like a bespoke house that wasn't cookie cutter and wasn't off the plan. And yeah, here we are. I'm trying to get like a lovely garden behind this little area here just to sort of fill out the awkward triangle. I think I end up using these sorts of flowers and stuff instead. It was very hard to balance like it looking intentional versus it looking like just a jungle. Like I wanted it to look planned and cared for and stuff, but I think that's where we end up, and it's nice. Yeah. As I've said before, I am not great at landscaping, and like inside is my kind of forte in The Sims, and I like that, but I'm very much not good at building landscapes and outsides and stuff. They're normally an afterthought, so that's why I'm so proud of the pool. Here, I thought, well, there's this awkward little triangle. Let's make it a feature of this courtyard. So it's a little alcove for a statue. I had a little bit of trouble picking a statue because that one with like the ivy or whatever growing on her didn't fully make sense, but it was the one that fit that the nicest and that I liked. So she's got flowers behind her on the walls, and I think it works. So yeah, I'm just putting a little gate to keep it kind of feeling private and exclusive and all that, but I wanted them to have access out here because I come back later and I do put down like a couple of planters and stuff so that they can build veggies, so they can grow their own veggies and stuff like that if they want to, and also they get a bees box. Yay! This is the part that I was putting off for ages because I knew that this was going to be the lounge room, but it's such an awkward space that I just didn't want to do it. So I was like, you know what, if I just don't do it, then I don't have to do it. But then of course you get to the end of the build and you're like, well, everything else is finished, you kind of got to do the lounge room. So I fiddled with it. I made the stupid decision to use the sectional sofa. If you've ever tried to build with the sectional sofa on the diagonal, it is a pain in the butt. And especially if you don't fully know where you want it to be before you put it down. I ended up having to move this thing like 6 times, and each time you have to line up each individual bit perfectly. And it was worth it though. It was definitely the one that fit the space the best, but it was still sort of like, come on, I gotta move it again. I gotta move it again. Curse my fickleness. And yeah, so then of course we had to come up with a coffee table, and I was like, I'm gonna try a different coffee table, but I went for my favorite. This is the best coffee table in the entire game, in my opinion. It's so pretty. I want one in real life. I have like, you can't see it because it's not in frame, but well, it's actually ages away from being in frame. But I have like a tall boy kind of chest, apothecary chest like that. It has like the little tiny, I don't even think it's apothecary. I think probably like library cards would be better description for it, but it's really lovely and I love it. And it has nothing in it because I was like, I'm going to do it up and make it look pretty, and I never got around to it. So yeah, I love that coffee table. Here I'm just trying to fill out the rest of the space because yeah, I have the lounge area, but it doesn't take up the full area. But there's not really enough space to have like 2 lounge areas, like a sitting area and a TV area or whatever. So I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do. And then again, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I was like, let's avoid the problem. And I fiddled with spandrels again because I was like, the bathroom isn't as fancy as I wanted it to be. But in the end, I thought we'll just go with the really minimalist one. So you kind of hopefully don't notice it when you're in there. And it's just how the bathroom is. So trying to figure out plants. I really liked this like banana plant / bird of paradise plant here, but didn't look quite right. So I built it a stage. And I think that very much fixed a lot of the problem that I was having with this lounge room, because all of a sudden, hey, this makes kind of sense. That's a little stage area. And then you've got basically corridor that goes on the rest of it. And here's the other issue I was avoiding: roofing. Roofing so many triangles and diagonals was never going to happen, so we're going with ye old modern, just it's a flat roof thing. I don't know how else to describe it, but I think it definitely works for the style of house, and there was no way I was going to get an actual roof on this thing, even if I'd wanted to get a roof on this thing. So yeah, I thought I would just lean into the modern kind of thing that I was going with, and yeah, it looks nice. And at this point I was like, yeah, that back thing there very much needs to be the black as well. There's actually nothing in that back thing. I was gonna put like the rubbish bins and stuff in there, but then I remembered I'd put a rubbish bin, I don't know if it shows on, I can't remember when I did it, but I put a rubbish bin on the back where the mailbox is on the other one, because that way people can't tip it over, and we've still got a bin. And at this point, I do think I don't have a bin in the kitchen, but the bin in the kitchen ends up being like one of the bottomless gobbly ones. And yeah. Oh, I'm proud of this little coffee nook too that I've just avoided talking about. It looked really pretty in the end. And I wish that they would give us bar fridges like that would actually slot into the counters like what the dishwashers do, because having it by itself like makes sense sometimes, but sometimes I just want it to sit under the counter like that so I can do a little coffee station for like a guest bedroom or the main bedroom. And yeah, anyway, at this point I somewhat stupidly decided that this section of wall really needed something, which in hindsight I think was wrong. I think I probably would have been better off leaving it, but oh well. I thought I'd cut that bit out. Oh well. I couldn't think yes, because I'd come back and I hadn't put on my cheats yet. Like adding more stuff to the other bedroom. Avoid your problems at all costs. Yeah, still couldn't find anything for here. Found lots of things for other places in the house, but nothing for here for ages and ages. At one point I was like, oh, maybe, and then I was like, ooh, maybe we could put like a little bar, but nah, nothing. And then we go through a heap of different pictures, but nothing quite works. And then I have the idea that maybe I could put like a fancy light. And that is what we end up doing, going with that particular light. And yeah, again, I think I probably would have been better off leaving that just blank, or probably sticking with like the ball light. I did like how the ball light looked. I don't really like that light, but oh well. I think past Fern was quite tired at this point, but I was so close to getting it done, you know. If I'd finished and then come back, I would have been filming for all of like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and I don't know. Here I thought, oh, maybe I could put an ottoman down the bottom, but I always put ottomans at the bottom of the bed. I really like it. Just shifted the house over so it sat a little more centered on the lot. And then I thought, oh, I'll try and do some landscaping, but I gave up on that very quickly. Here's some glamour shots. Like I said, we'll do a build tour when we On Monday, I will come through and do a POV build tour with just a couple of little shots just to remind myself that this video is ending and I need to wrap it up. So here we are. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.